Chris Leatherman with Fueling Parts, here to showcase a FEULING W3 engine and FEULING motorcycle. This motorcycle here is for sale. This is one of the original customers. This build dates back to 2001. This is very much a performance-based engine and motorcycle. It's interesting to see how things have kind of come full circle, because I would say this day and age, and especially the FEULING line of parts today, is really based on performance. And I think that's what we've really seen a big trend in, is riders, real riders out there riding motorcycles. When this package was released, we originally sold it in an engine frame package that came with all the proprietary components like the engine, the frame, the ignition system, exhaust, intake manifold, stuff like that. The customer base was really not interested in full-blown performance at that time. In fact, when we came out with this package, we based it on the FXR. As far as the frame goes, we called this a wishbone style frame because we had to fit the front cylinder. Dyna-based mount on the front and FXR in the rear. The Softail was the craze back in the early 2000s, and a lot of people were bummed that we based this off the FXR instead of basing it off of a Softail at the time. But interesting to see how things have kind of come full circle here. And really, this motorcycle, even being built back in 2001, is really very relevant today. We have a high performance front end on it. We have a Serrani stores out of Ventura, California. We've got Brembo calipers, Brembo rotors, carbon fiber wheels on it. We moved to the back of the motorcycle. We've got Works shocks, RIP those boys, but they made good products. The transmission in this, everything was modular to the Dynaglide at the time, so we're using a 6-speed transmission. And we'll show you the other side as far as the primary and the other components are all modular to standard Harley and or aftermarket Dyna components. But we've got an inline 3-cylinder engine. This was designed with the factory. This was a program. FEULING was working for the factory at the time, developing some engines and working with them on some different projects, and this was one of those projects, was to make a 3-cylinder engine. And the idea of it was to make it modular to the twin cam. To bring this into production, when it was originally produced, it would have taken 8 new part numbers to put together. Items like the connecting rod, the cam plate, we had a lifter block. Obviously we have an exhaust system that's different here. And one thing special about the exhaust on the W3, we're basically using 3 front cylinder heads. And what FEULING wanted to do here is he wanted to get the heat out of the engine. And so you can see here, all 3 exhaust pipes exit out the front versus having that rear head and that exhaust pipe hidden in the back where it builds up all that heat. Okay, so let's roll into the other side and I'll show you the features of the left side. So this is the left side of the W3 motorcycle, and one thing that Jim FEULING used to say was, one thing nice about these is it gave you 2 nice looking sides of the motorcycle. You have the exhaust on the right side and the intake on the left. This is how they were originally set up, with 3 individual carburetors. You call them isolated runner intake manifolds. They came with 39mm key-in flat slides. This engine's been upgraded. It has 12.5 to 1 compression ratio and our 594 camshafts in it, and so this one's been upgraded to the 41mm flat slide key-in carburetors. The closer that the carburetors are into sync, the noisier that they are. Kind of a neat fact. But another special feature of this motorcycle that's for sale here is the addition of the Motec ignition system. The odd fire of the W3 kind of made for a unique ignition system. We're using the Motec, really was a nice feature and made it easy to tune because it's live tuning. So this does have the Motec ignition system paired up with would be an off-the-shelf GM coil on it, but nice feature. Barnett set us up with the cables, obviously a custom set of cables here for it. We also have Barnett clutch inside here in the primary, but all of this bolt-on to the engine is all modular to the twin cam stuff. This is a Dynaglide based transmission, shifter components and so forth. Coming around the back side here, we do have an FXR style swing arm and kickstand out of it. Here you go, you've got 2 nice looking sides to the motorcycle. I'd like to go into a little more detail here of what the W3 engine is. Like I said, that this was based on the twin cam engine, other than this was a triple cam. And that was Jim FEULING's philosophy, is to make stuff modular to it. And this was the way to get larger cubic inch with keeping the reliability out of it. I guess what makes this all work and what's special about it is the connecting rod. And the connecting rod really isn't new technology by any means. This is based off of a radial aircraft engine, something that you would see inside a Pratt & Whitney. We have a master rod right here that connects to the crankshaft. So this engine uses the same crankshaft that is in a regular twin cam engine, and we're just using this connecting rod in place of the factory knife and fork connecting rod. But you've got a master rod here with 2 link rods. Anyways, once we spun off of the contract work with Harley Davidson And FEULING was producing this, all castings that were done by FEULING. Connecting rod roller bearing. Some of you guys are familiar with seeing these. Was definitely proprietary to Harley Davidson. It was something that we didn't have access to. And so what Jim came up with is a slipper bearing setup. And basically what this is made out of a hardened bronze material, and it just basically oscillates on the crank pin, and this just oscillates in there instead of having the roller bearing. FEULING made his own take on the cylinder heads. 2-valve combustion chamber, figure 8 style with a centrally located spark plug. Very high performing cylinder head right out of the box. In fact, this is also something that we were selling at the time as a cylinder head package for the regular V-twin engines. All right, the W3 is what we would call a square engine. It was originally made with a 4-inch stroke, which was based on the twin cam engines at the time. So we had a 4-inch stroke with a 4-inch bore, which made 150 cubic inches. High gear pull, 5th gear, 40 to 140 in under 5 seconds. 150 horsepower to the tire and 200 foot-pounds of torque to the tire. There's very few of these motorcycles and engines out there and available. This is really the first time that one's been available for sale. There's quite a few of them out there in the hands of collectors, of the which we've got Corey Ness and Perry Sands is holding on to one of these things, and there's a couple of them that made their way across the pond to Swiss Performance. He did a couple of them. We did a couple strokers with him as well, but this is one of very few of them out there, and we'd really like to see this thing go to a good home.